Stampers Kim from stampingimperfection.com. Thanks for joining me today. I have my April Simon Says Stamps card kit, which is called A Beautiful Day, and I want to make a couple cards with it. It is a fantastic card kit. Month after month I get these kits, and I feel like I get such great value for my money. Like, I just get so much in the kit. And you can see I get two different Distress Oxide ink pads. I got a Distress Oxide brush to try. I got a Beautiful Day stencil from Simon Says, and some Lawn Fawn. I got 12 pieces of Lawn Fawn, really rainbow pattern paper there. I got a whole Beautiful Day stamp set that you'll see a little later. I got a bunch of cardstock, some envelopes, and I got a piece of the thermofoil from Gina K Designs. You can see it's really iridescent looking under the light. So I'm going to use a few pieces of this kit to create this card today. What I'm going to do, I want to try a couple ink blending things. So I'm going to put everything aside. I've taken some Bristol cardstock and I cut it down to different sizes or various sizes here. I'm going to use this one because I'm pretty sure I cut this. I hope I cut it, no, maybe not. It looks a little narrow. I'm hoping I cut it at 4 1/4 by 5 inches because I want a little band at the bottom to use some of that pretty patterned paper. And I also want to use the stencil because I just want to use that stencil, to be perfectly honest. And I think I'm just going to try to use the ones going up the center here. So I am going to tape this on, and I usually use washi tape which I buy in like packages of 4 different patterns, and I always end up not using some patterns, so I don't know why I didn't use this. This is a super cute pattern. But I'm just going to tape this on the back. So I have this post-it, so like a roll of tape I got at the office supply store, and I'm just going to put this over these two on the corner that I don't want to color in there. I'm using Bristol paper, and I was surprised at what a difference paper makes, because I always just use, you know, the paper that I always had on hand from my days as a Stampin' Up! Demonstrator, and I never tried anything but Stampin' Up! Stuff. So I've been trying to take other classes and learn about other materials that are out there, and I was shocked to find out what a difference different paper makes for different techniques. And I've discovered that Bristol paper is just beautiful for blending, and I like it for watercolor techniques. And I got this on Amazon. I've been ordering everything on Amazon lately, but I got this smooth Bristol paper by Canson. It's in a pad. These are 9 by 12 sheets. It comes with 25 pages. I can make a lot of cards out of this, and probably even some scrapbook pieces, because this technique would be beautiful in scrapbooks. So another thing I also have is I decided that I usually will use my ink blending tool, my Ranger ink blending tool, but I really want to try the brushes. And I found some, when I was moving, some old Crayola brushes that have a similar end. These I bought when my kids were little. I bought a set of like 20, and some of them never got opened. And now my kids are in their 20s, so they're not going to use them anymore. I might as well. These are perfect brushes for stenciling, and like that's one of the first crafts I learned, because back in the 80s it was, you know, cool, or it was definitely the 80s. Stenciling was a thing that you would do on your walls to decorate your room. So I'm going to use these, and I still have my original stenciling brushes. If you take care of your brushes, they last forever. Even inexpensive Crayola kids stuff, like these are actually really good brushes to do techniques like this with. So I'm gonna try these and see if it works, and I'm gonna give this a try because I've been dying to try this, and I'm gonna show you a couple things when Tim Holtz did his presentation. He kept a baby wipe. So I've got my baby wipe. I always have, I bought a set of these like dishcloths at the dollar store. They were like a set of 20 for $2. So I always have that close by. And I'm pulling out Distressed Oxide in Aged Mahogany because I wanted a red. And I just want to use red, yellow, and blue to blend. So I thought I would do that. That's why I have 3 brushes here. So I'm going to start with the, this is the Aged Mahogany. And I have only used these inks once. So I'm excited to play with them more because when I was just playing with them, I just got a couple to try, and when you look at this ink pad, I don't know if you can see this, it looks dry almost, and it looks like chalk, and I was surprised that when I used it, it looks like chalk on the paper, but it doesn't behave like chalk. So I'm going to just ink this up, and when I stencil, this isn't red, this is more like a brown red, so hopefully this will give me the effect I'm looking for. I'm just going to stencil part of this. I always work in circles. That's how I was taught. A girlfriend and I took a class at some lady's house, and she was a licensed stenciling teacher. I forget what company, and that's what she taught us. So then I'm just going to wipe the excess off on this, and this will be my red brush. And according to Tim Holtz, I could use any of the reds with this red brush, because once you wipe it off and clean it off and get, the excess off, the reds won't affect each other. It's just that if I go to use this now with my blue, I won't get the true color of that blue. So I'm gonna do that. I'm gonna follow that advice, and at some point I'll get all of the distress. I'll get myself a couple more distress brushes. Again, it looks like chalk, and it looks like chalk on the paper. And have you ever played with those chalk inks before? I only played with them a few times. I actually found the chalk inks actually kind of hard to get to do what I wanted to and to give me good images, but I actually like the images I get with these inks. Okay, so I'm just going to do that. Blue is so pretty, isn't it? This is the Mermaid Lagoon, and I believe that altogether at this point, I believe there are 36 different Distress Oxide inks so far, and I believe I only have a few of the small Distress ink cubes. Like I said, I have just started experimenting with other companies' things, and I believe these have the same names as the Distress inks, but they have very different properties because these Distress Oxide inks are a combination of dye inks and pigment inks, or the permanent inks. So I think that's kind of fun. Now, this thing, oops, I was just playing with this before. This slides down like a lipstick case, and the reason that he designed it this way was so that you could use it like this, so you have a brush sort of like this, because this is actually perfect for stenciling. And then you can push this down and narrow the brush, and when you use it like this and hold this down while you're working with it, I believe he held it like this and like pounced it on, it can give you really dark or concentrated colors in places that you want it. So I thought that was kind of a cool design. Okay, and this one feels, this brush feels stiffer than my kid brushes. Now I'm going to put this on, getting a little blue, wipe that off. I want to blend, so I'm going to put this on in the middle, and I'm hoping that this yellow will blend with the red to give me a little spot of orange. Let's see how I do with that here. I actually think the yellow is going right over the top. And then I was hoping to get a little spot of green, almost like a rainbow of colors. Oh, that looks pretty. That looks pretty. Getting a rainbow effect there. And I might add a little bit, I probably have enough on my brush to add a little bit of red to get a sort of orange. Might want to go back into the red a little. Oh, nope, there I go. It's looking a little bit more orange there. Maybe I'll add a little. Let's make the orange go farther. There we go. Okay, so I'm going to brush this off. Now, later I will definitely clean this off better so that it's just yellow on that brush. Okay, so I'm going to put those aside. Now I'm done with that. Let's see how this turned out. Here's the test. Dun dun dun. Oh, pretty. Pretty, pretty. Look how bright those are. Those are beautiful colors. I actually was shocked because they look so much like chalk, but every time I've used them, I get these beautiful colors. And I really like using the brushes with the stencil. Like, I really, really like that. I'll definitely be doing more of that. And if there's, like, if you're wondering, you have a little bit of craft money, if you're on a crafting budget and you have a little bit of money, stencils are fun tools to get because you can use the that embossing paste. I think that's what it's called. Is it called embossing paste? I forget. Texture paste. It's called texture paste. You can use the texture paste and you can mix your inks in with the texture paste to make it colored. There's just so many things. You can watercolor with these, like just tons of techniques you can use with stenciling. I did a video not too long ago about how you can make a watercolor background and put a stencil on top, and then it kind of wicks the colors. It's so pretty. Alright, so let's put this card together. So far from this kit, I've used the stencil and the 2 inks. Now, and the distress brush. Now I'm pulling in the stamp set, the Beautiful Day stamp set, and trying to decide which one of the sentiments I want to use. You can see how many choices there are. My original intention was to use one of the little butterfly trails and a couple of the butterfly images and heat emboss them on vellum and then color the back of them with alcohol markers, but in the end I decided not to use those. I'm showing you here how when you open this stamp set you get the plastic pieces attached. I love that. Usually when I take that off I lose it on my desk. Now I've decided that I try to always now add my sentiments with my Misty tool, and I use my permanent black ink from Ulta, which I love. And the reason that I use the Misty tool is I like to stamp it more than once. I think that one of the things that makes a difference on a card is how dark and crisp your sentiment comes out. Now here I'm just lining it up, and I really like that I can play around with it. And then I'm going to close my Misty tool, and I'm checking with the grid there to make sure it's straight. I'm playing around with it a little. I love having the grid on the front, and I'm making sure my paper's pushed all the way down. I've got a couple of magnets holding it in place. This is a new stamp, so it's very sticky. So I'm inking it up with my Ulta New Permanent Black ink, and I'm going to stamp my image. And I always give it a good press, and it looks good, but I always now do 2 inkings. It just comes out, sometimes more. It just that when it's really dark and really crisp, I'm checking to make sure my paper's exactly in the corner. So I'm inking it up again, and I just love what a difference that makes on my cards. They look just more professional once you really ink that sentiment up. If it doesn't come out quite dark enough or crisp enough, it doesn't make your cards look as nice. So I've got a few things here. I have a 1x6 piece of that great Lawn Fawn Really Rainbow pattern paper that came in the kit. I'm just going to put a strip of that along the bottom on my card front, which I've done here. Now I'm sorry I'm out of the field here, but you can see I'm adding now the silver glitter washi tape, and I just want a little bit of that to show. Now I'm going to put foam tape on the back of my card front, and I'm going to attach it to that card base. And that card base, I love this foam tape, by the way. This is 3M foam tape. I got mine from an electrical supply store, and it was like a foot in diameter. So I've popped that up on top, and you can just see that silver glimmer above that lawn fawn. Now, that lawn fawn came in the kit. I got 12 pieces of that 6x6 pattern paper. I've added some Studio Katia iridescent bubbles, and that completes my card. Love, love, love that ink, that Distress Oxide ink. It's so bright and vibrant. So to get more details on this, stop by my blog at stampingimperfection.com. Thanks for watching.